Police are now investigating the deaths of 4 students at the University of Idaho as homicides.
Manhunt is underway for the person responsible for murdering 4 University of Idaho students in their off-campus home last week.
Moscow police just released the names of the students. They say Ethan Chapin was a 20-year-old from the town of Conway, just south of Mount Vernon. Police also identified the other 3 victims. 2 were from Idaho and 1 from Arizona.
Investigation is underway after 4 University of Idaho students were found dead inside of an off-campus home.
Idaho, 4 University of Idaho students were found dead in their off-campus apartment.
Welcome to Mindquake Media. My name is Patrick. The Bryan Kohberger case has gripped the nation since the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students in November of 2022. The shocking nature of the crime and the subsequent investigation have captured widespread media attention, leaving many seeking to understand the details surrounding the tragedy. This video aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the case, examining the lives of the victims, the actions of the families in the aftermath, the key pieces of evidence, and the broader societal implications. The 4 young lives tragically cut short were those of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Each of these individuals had bright futures ahead of them, filled with academic aspirations and meaningful relationships. Madison Mogen, 21 years old, was a senior at the University of Idaho, pursuing a degree in marketing. She was an active member of the Phi Beta Phi sorority, demonstrating her engagement in university life. Beyond her studies, Mogen also worked at the Mad Greek restaurant in downtown Moscow, where she applied her marketing skills to manage their social media presence. Growing up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, she had cultivated a deep and enduring friendship with Kaylee Goncalves since their junior years. Their bond was so strong they were often considered like sisters. Following her graduation, Mogen had plans to embark on a new chapter in Boise. In recognition of her academic achievements, the University of Idaho posthumously awarded her a degree in marketing. Mogen's dedication to her studies and her close connection with Goncalves illustrate a young woman focused on her future and cherished personal relationships. Her initiative in using her marketing skills at her workplace further suggests a proactive and engaged personality. Kaylee Goncalves, also 21, was a senior majoring in general studies at the University of Idaho. She was a member of the Alpha Phi sorority. Having spent her formative years in northern Idaho alongside Madison Mogen, their friendship blossomed into a sisterly bond. Goncalves had exciting plans for her future after graduation, including a trip to Europe followed by a move to Texas, where she had already secured a job. The profound connection she shared with Mogen, dating back to the 6th grade, highlights a significant and irreplaceable loss for both families. The University of Idaho honored her memory by posthumously granting her a degree in general studies. Goncalves' aspiration for travel and career advancement underscore a young woman with clear goals and a bright path ahead. Her long-standing and deep friendship with Mogen emphasizes the shared history and emotional connection that enriched both of their lives. Xana Kernodle, 20 years old, was a junior at the University of Idaho, majoring in marketing. She was also a member of the Phi Beta Phi sorority. Originally from Avondale, Arizona, Kernodle later resided in Post Falls, Idaho. She worked as a server at the Mad Greek restaurant, where she was colleagues and friends with Madison Mogen. Kernodle was in a relationship with Ethan Chapin. Their connection deepened from friendship into romance. Her older sister, Jasmine, described her as a positive, funny, and lighthearted individual who had a remarkable ability to uplift those around her and possessed a desire to positively influence the lives of others. The university recognized her academic progress by posthumously awarding her a certificate in marketing. Kernodle's vibrant personality and her loving relationship with Chapin illustrate a young woman who brought joy to those around her and was building a meaningful life. Her aspiration to change lives, evident from her high school graduation cap, suggests a compassionate and forward-thinking individual. Ethan Chapin, 20 years old, was a freshman at the University of Idaho, majoring in sports management. He was a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity, actively participating in the social aspects of university life. Chapin was a triplet, with siblings Maisie and Hunter, highlighting a close familial bond. He was in a relationship with Xana Kernodle. Hailing from Conway, Washington, Chapin was remembered for his love of socializing, involvement in intramural sports, and his generally positive attitude. His former coach recalled him as someone who brought light into difficult times. The University of Idaho honored his memory by posthumously awarding him a certificate in recreation, sport, and tourism management. Chapin's enthusiasm for university life and his close relationship with his siblings and Kernodle underscore the profound loss experienced by his family and friends. His involvement in Greek life and sports demonstrates his active engagement in the university community. The three female victims, Mogen, Goncalves, and Kernodle, were roommates residing in an off-campus rental home, creating a close living environment. Chapin, Kernodle's boyfriend, was visiting and stayed overnight on the night of the attacks. The relationship between Goncalves and Mogen was particularly significant. They had been inseparable best friends since the 6th grade, their bond akin to sisterhood. Kernodle was also friends with both Mogen and Goncalves, fostering a close-knit dynamic within the house. Kernodle and Chapin shared a loving relationship that had developed over approximately a year. On the night preceding the murders, Kernodle and Chapin attended a Sigma Chi fraternity party together, while Mogen and Goncalves spent time at the Corner Club bar before returning home. These details illustrate a group of young individuals enjoying their college experience and the strong friendships they had formed. Each of the victims came from loving families who have been deeply affected by this tragedy. Ethan Chapin is survived by his parents, Jim and Stacy, and his siblings, Maisie and Hunter. Xana Kernodle's family includes her older sister, Jasmine, and her father, Jeffrey. Kaylee Goncalves' parents are Steve and Christy Goncalves, and she had siblings, including an older sister named Olivia. Madison Mogen's parents are Karen Laramie and Ben Mogen. The profound grief experienced by these families and their subsequent actions in seeking justice and preserving the memories of their children form a significant part of this case. In the wake of the devastating loss, the families of the victims have demonstrated remarkable strength and resilience in their pursuit of justice and their efforts to keep the memories of their loved ones alive. Their actions have spanned activism, legal engagement, and extensive involvement with the media. The family of Kaylee Goncalves has been particularly vocal, questioning the initial competency of the investigation and expressing their strong opposition to the demolition of the King Roadhouse where the murders occurred. Kaylee's father, Steve Goncalves, has emphasized the importance of transparency in the pursuit of justice. Xana Kernodle's family chose to honor her memory by establishing a memorial endowment at the University of Idaho, aimed at funding scholarships for students. To amplify the impact, the family committed to matching donations up to $10,000. Similarly, Ethan Chapin's family created the Ethan Smile Foundation, dedicated to providing scholarships to students nationwide. By 2024, the foundation had awarded approximately $50,000 to 33 deserving students. Ethan's mother, Stacy Chapin, also authored a children's book titled The Boy Who Wore Blue, as a tribute to her son's life and character. Madison Mogen's family established the Made with Kindness Foundation to promote the values and spirit with which Madison lived her life. Additionally, the family commemorates her birthday with Maddie May Day, an annual event encouraging random acts of kindness in her name. The Goncalves and Mogen families joined forces to create a GoFundMe campaign, which garnered over $70,000 in support. Furthermore, the Goncalves family initiated a Facebook page as a space to share cherished memories of Kaylee and Maddie, fostering a community of remembrance. These diverse initiatives demonstrate the family's commitment to ensuring their children's legacies continue to positively impact the world. The families have also actively navigated the complex legal landscape surrounding the case. The attorney representing Kaylee Goncalves' family, Shannon Gray, took legal action by appealing the gag order issued in the case. Gray argued that the order was overly broad, vague, unconstitutional, and that as non-parties to the criminal case, the victim's family should not be restricted in their right to free speech. Gray also voiced concerns regarding the perceived lack of communication from the prosecuting authorities to the Goncalves family. In a significant legal move, the families of Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen both filed tort notices against several entities, including the University of Idaho, Washington State University, the City of Moscow, and the Idaho State Police. This action reserved their right to potentially file lawsuits within the following 2 years, serving as a safeguard to protect their interests should any impropriety or negligence be discovered in the handling of the case. For Xana Kernodle's family, a unique legal challenge arose when her mother, Kara Northington, expressed feelings of betrayal towards attorney Ann Taylor, who had previously represented her in an unrelated legal matter, but withdrew to become Bryan Kohberger's defense attorney. Reflecting a desire for transparency and accountability, the families of Kaylee Goncalves and Xana Kernodle both publicly supported allowing cameras in the courtroom during Bryan Kohberger's trial. In contrast, Ethan Chapin's parents initially indicated they would likely not attend court proceedings, preferring to avoid what they perceived as negative energy. These various engagements with the legal system underscore the family's determination to seek justice and ensure a thorough and fair process. The families have also been prominent voices in the media, sharing their grief, memories, and perspectives on the case. Kaylee Goncalves' family has given numerous interviews, openly discussing their pain, their unwavering determination to see justice served, and at times, their frustrations with aspects of the investigation. They have shared poignant details, such as the manner in which Kaylee was found in her room, emphasizing the feeling that she was trapped. The family also publicly questioned the competency of the investigation and expressed their disagreement with the decision to demolish the house. Madison Mogen's mother, Karen Laramie, spoke on the Today Show, offering insights into her daughter's life and legacy, as well as her thoughts on the delayed trial proceedings. Madison's father, Ben Mogen, shared heartfelt memories of his daughter and the significance of the matching angel wing tattoos the family received in her honor. Xana Kernodle's sister, Jasmine, and her father, Jeffrey, participated in an interview with 48 Hours, providing touching recollections of Xana's vibrant personality. Xana's mother, Kara Northington, also gave exclusive interviews, openly sharing her profound grief and her perspectives on the ongoing investigation and the man accused of her daughter's murder. Ethan Chapin's parents, Jim and Stacy, have been actively engaged with the media, consistently focusing on honoring Ethan's memory and promoting the Ethan Smile Foundation. Stacy Chapin also shared the unique challenges faced by Ethan's triplet twins in coping with the loss of their brother. Through their public statements, the families have ensured that the victims are remembered, not just as victims of a crime, but as cherished individuals whose lives had a significant impact on those around them. The investigation into the murders has yielded several key pieces of evidence, which have become central to the legal proceedings against Bryan Kohberger. These include a knife sheath found at the scene, DNA analysis linking Kohberger to the sheath, and information obtained through search warrants. These pieces of evidence, however, are also the subject of ongoing legal challenges by the defense. A significant piece of forensic evidence discovered at the crime scene was a K-bar knife sheath, located under or near the body of Madison Mogen. The sheath bore the markings K-Bar USMC, along with the insignia of the United States Marine Corps. Subsequent analysis of the sheath revealed the presence of a single source of male DNA on the button snap. Prosecutors assert that this DNA is a near exact match to a DNA sample obtained from Bryan Kohberger. Adding to this, reports indicate that Kohberger purchased a K-Bar knife and a corresponding sheath from Amazon in April of 2022, several months prior to the murders. Despite this seemingly strong link, Kohberger's defense team is employing a strategy to challenge the significance of this evidence. Their argument centers on the possibility that the knife sheath was planted at the crime scene by the actual perpetrator, and therefore the presence of Kohberger's DNA does not definitively prove his presence during the murders. This defense strategy underscores the critical role and contested nature of forensic evidence in this case. DNA analysis has been a crucial component of the investigation. Initially, DNA found on the knife sheath was compared to DNA obtained from trash collected outside the Kohberger family residence in Pennsylvania. This initial comparison led to further investigation, culminating in a more direct DNA comparison using a cheek swab taken from Kohberger. Investigators utilized investigative genetic genealogy, or IgG techniques, to match the touch DNA found on the knife sheath to Kohberger. However, Kohberger's defense attorney, Ann Taylor, made attempts to have the IgG evidence suppressed, arguing its inadmissibility. But these efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. Interestingly, prosecutors have indicated that they do not intend to rely on the IgG evidence during the trial, instead planning to inform the jury that a tip led them to identify Kohberger as a suspect. Adding another layer to the DNA evidence, a three-person mixture of DNA was discovered from beneath the fingernails of Madison Mogen. The defense has raised questions regarding this particular piece of evidence, potentially suggesting alternative interpretations or sources. The reliance on DNA evidence by the prosecution and the vigorous challenges mounted by the defense highlight the pivotal role that forensic science will play in the upcoming trial. Law enforcement obtained and executed search warrants for Bryan Kohberger's apartment in Washington State, his parents' home in Pennsylvania, and his vehicle. During the search of Kohberger's residence in Pennsylvania, authorities seized items such as dark clothing, medical-style gloves, a silver flashlight, and a pair of black and white Nike shoes. From his apartment in Washington, investigators recovered stained bedding, strands of what appeared to be hair, and a single glove. The defense has argued that the search warrants obtained in this case were tainted by alleged police misconduct. The items that were seized through these search warrants represent potential corroborating evidence for the prosecution's case. But the defense's attempts to challenge their legitimacy and relevance indicate their strategy might be to limit the evidence presented against Kohberger. The legal proceedings against Bryan Kohberger have been marked by several key events and ongoing challenges. At his arraignment, Kohberger chose to remain silent, leading the court to enter a plea of not guilty on his behalf. The prosecution has made clear its intention to seek the death penalty in this case, setting the stage for a capital murder trial. In response, Kohberger's defense team has filed a motion to strike the death penalty as a sentencing option, citing his diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder as a mitigating factor. Additionally, the defense has sought to restrict the use of terms such as murder, murderer, and murder weapon when referring to Kohberger, arguing that such language could prejudice the jury. They have also attempted to suppress the introduction of crime scene photos and autopsy images, likely due to their graphic nature and potential to unduly influence the jury. The defense has indicated that they may present an alibi, claiming that Kohberger was out driving in an area approximately 30 miles southwest of Moscow at the time the murders occurred. The trial is currently scheduled to commence in August of 2025 and will be held in Ada County, following a decision to change the venue from Mlada County, where the crime took place. These ongoing legal battles and the diverse defense strategies employed highlight the complexities and high stakes involved in this case as it progresses towards trial. The Bryan Kohberger case extends beyond the immediate tragedy, raising important questions about stalking, violence against women, and the intersection of mental illness and the justice system. Initial stages of the investigation included looking into reports that Kaylee Goncalves might have had a stalker, although these reports could not be corroborated or substantiated. However, subsequent information revealed that cell phone data reportedly placed Bryan Kohberger in the vicinity of the victim's home on multiple occasions leading up to the murders. This pattern of presence suggests the possibility of stalking behavior. Furthermore, one of the surviving roommates reported witnessing a masked man inside the residence on the night of the killings. It is also noteworthy that Kohberger was previously investigated in connection with a home invasion that occurred in Pullman, Washington, in October of 2021. This incident involved a masked intruder wielding a knife, bearing similarities to the Idaho murders. While Kohberger was initially considered a person of interest in the Pullman case, he was later ruled out based on the victim's description of the intruder's height, which did not match Kohberger's. The potential for stalking in the events leading up to the murders raises serious concerns about the safety and security of individuals, particularly young women, and underscores the need for vigilance and awareness regarding such behaviors. The fact that 3 of the 4 victims were young women living together brings the issue of violence against women into sharp focus. Stalking as a precursor to more severe violence is a significant risk factor for intimate partner homicide. Statistics reveal the widespread nature of these issues in the United States. It is estimated that nearly 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men will experience stalking at some point in their lives. Notably, the majority of stalking victims are female, and the perpetrators are predominantly male. Furthermore, nearly half of all women in the United States report having experienced abuse from a partner during their lifetime. Tragically, over half of all female homicide victims are killed by a current or former male intimate partner. While the precise motive in the Bryan Kohberger case remains undetermined, the gender of the majority of the victims and the prevalence of violence against women in society cannot be ignored. This case serves as a stark reminder of the ongoing need to address and prevent violence against women in all its forms. The defense's strategy in the Bryan Kohberger case has included citing his autism spectrum disorder in a motion to avoid the death penalty. The defense has argued that Kohberger's ASD diminishes his culpability and impairs his ability to effectively participate in his own defense. It is important to note that mental health records for Kohberger and his family have been provided to the prosecution, indicating the defense's intent to explore this aspect further. Research consistently shows that individuals living with mental illness who are receiving appropriate treatment are generally no more prone to violence than the general population. However, the presence of co-occurring substance abuse can increase the risk of violence in individuals with mental health conditions. The defense's focus on Kohberger's ASD brings to the forefront the complex relationship between mental illness and the justice system. It is crucial to approach this issue with sensitivity and to avoid perpetuating harmful stereotypes that link mental illness to violence. The legal system must carefully consider the nuances of mental health in determining culpability and appropriate sentencing, while also ensuring that justice is served for the victims of crime. The Bryan Kohberger case remains a deeply disturbing and complex tragedy. The lives of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were tragically and violently taken, leaving their families and communities in profound grief. The investigation has been extensive, yielding key pieces of evidence such as the knife sheath and DNA linking Bryan Kohberger to the crime scene, although these are subjects of intense legal scrutiny and defense challenges. The families of the victims have shown remarkable strength in their activism, their legal engagement, and their media involvement, striving to honor their children's memories and seek justice. This case also highlights critical societal issues that demand attention. The potential role of stalking in the lead up to the murders underscores the dangers of obsessive behaviors and the need for effective prevention and intervention strategies. The fact that 3 of the victims were young women living together brings the persistent issue of violence against women right to the front, reminding us of the urgent need for societal change and support for victims. Finally, the defense's focus on Bryan Kohberger's mental health raises complex questions about criminal responsibility and the intersection of mental illness with the justice system, requiring a nuanced and informed understanding. As the legal proceedings continue and the trial approaches, the nation watches with anticipation, hoping for clarity and a sense of justice for the families and friends of Madison, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. The enduring impact of this case will undoubtedly be felt for years to come, serving as a somber reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of addressing the broader societal issues it has brought to light.